Hey, what is up, guys? This is Dexter here, and we're doing something a little different today because I was just watching this YouTube video on this Reddit video by Jimmo Reddit, who had it was a video. Well, as you can see from the title here, it was a video about why anti-gay people don't accept homosexuality, and seeing as I'm a gay fella myself. I wanted to kind of respond to this because there was this one particular comment from this guy within my grasp that really struck a chord with me, and that made me almost irrationally angry. So I went to Reddit and I went to look it up, and it turns out it's like a thread from 6 years ago. So what I want to do is I want to go through this, and I kind of want to dissect this because I think there is so much wrong with this comment, and I want to get into it. So let's get started. So let's just go on and read it part for part until we get somewhere that I, don't really agree with or that I want to comment on. So the question posed by Ask Reddit was, anti-gay Redditors, why do you not accept homosexuality? And so, within my grasp here says, and so for the record, before I get into this, their views, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but their views might have changed. So, take this with a grain of salt, but I just want to respond to people who share kind of this rhetoric or this like kind of language. So that's what I kind of want to dive deeper into. This one got upvoted like pretty like quite a lot actually, because the original post got 1.6k upvotes and this one got 441. So anyway, let's get into it. He says, so I have a couple of thoughts on this. First, it really depends on how you define anti-gay. It's already getting kind of murky here, because while I have some opinions about homosexuality that are definitely contrary to the majority of society, I do not in any fashion consider myself anti-gay. I come from a Christian background, and my faith is a large part of my life today, so like most Christians, I consider homosexuality to be a sin. And this is where I already want to stop, because this is already where I had a lot of problems. In like last sentence, he said, I do not in any fashion consider myself anti-gay, and then goes on to say in the next sentence, I consider homosexuality to be a sin. How is that possible? How can you hold both of these beliefs? I think that is inherently impossible. Like, if you consider it to be a sin, that would imply that you think it is wrong. Thus, you would consider yourself anti-gay. So, I do not see how that, makes it not anti-gay. I think that is literally the same. I don't understand how you can think this. Anyway, moving on. However, what I believe is that it's not something that makes someone any worse than any other person in the world. Okay, that's a fair take. My beliefs tell me that we are all broken people who all do wrong things, and this is where we immediately go off the rails again. This is again implying that being gay is wrong, which it is not. This is kind of just why I just hate religion in general. Like, this might get me a lot of flack for saying this, but I genuinely hate religion, and I definitely don't think the world needs it anymore. But that is a whole different discussion. But like, the thing is, when such a belief is based on their religion, when such a belief is based on religion within people, it is so hard to convince them to change their mind, because how are you going to do that? How are you going to compete with their celestial holy being that they worship? How could you possibly say anything that changes the minds of people who believe in something that cannot be questioned? I just genuinely, I just don't know. I don't understand and I don't know. This is why I don't like religion, because you cannot bring these people to the other side, because they're not even like, they're not having a rational discussion. That's kind of what I hate about it. Like, it's inherently something you cannot disprove. It's not something you can, uh you can reasonably, change people's minds on. And that's like the murky part of religion, in my opinion. But uh, getting away from that, being gay is not wrong, and implying that it is just an incredibly shitty thing to do. Because, like, like, we haven't done anything wrong. We're just living our lives. Like, what will it take for these people to see that? That's kind of what works me up about this. But anyway, moving on. I lie, the thief steals, and Walter White makes meth. My beliefs state that no sin is in any way worse than another. To God, lying is just as bad as homosexuality. Therefore, to hate, condemn, shame, or otherwise drag someone down for being homosexual is saying the sins I have committed are inconsequential. In this situation, I ignore what I have done and focus on what you have done in order to make myself feel better about what I've done. This is hypocrisy, and I choose not to partake of it. Okay, let me go back. So, to God, lying is just as bad as homosexuality, which I think is ridiculous. Like, I mean, obviously, but and same with, making meth. I mean, I am definitely not a drugs guy, so I would say that is worse, but your mileage may vary on that one. Stealing, definitely worse than homosexuality. These are all like terrible takes. I don't know how this got upvoted so many times, but therefore, to hate, condemn, shame, or otherwise drag someone down for being homosexual is saying that the sins I have committed are inconsequential. Okay, so I get what he's saying here. Everyone does wrong things, and I do wrong things, so, talking down to you for doing wrong things is hypocritical, which would be a valid point if you were talking about anything that is a bad thing. Again, I'm repeating myself, but let's move on. So, on a slightly different but related note, I also understand that morality is a gray shape, not always in black and white, obviously. Often what I believe to be wrong is the same as what you believe to be wrong, e.g. murder, theft, rape, and so forth. However, I also understand that you and I will share gray zones. I believe homosexuality is wrong, you don't. That's fine. I respect that we have differences, and I believe those differences are a large part of what makes humanity incredibly beautiful, and thus ought to be deeply respected. And this is where I take huge offense to this post. How dare you that I respect you literally saying that I'm doing something bad for something that, like, I just don't, like, why should I respect you when I haven't done anything wrong? I know that you think that I did something wrong, but it is just factually not true. It is factually not true. I have done nothing to deserve anyone's, like, hate or negativity or anything like that. I am just a person living my life just as everyone else is. And I do not understand why in any way I should ever respect you, implying that, why I should respect you implying that I am doing a bad thing by just living my life. I will absolutely never respect that. Never. This is what makes me incredibly angry, because that's what religious people always do. They always say, well, you gotta respect our beliefs. And no, I don't have to respect your beliefs when they don't make any fucking sense. I don't have to respect your beliefs. I do not. And I will not. So I hate this. I hate this comment. Like, what makes it that you can say something about me that is just so factually incorrect and that I just have to respect it when it has historically people from the Christian faith generally, because they're the ones that have been in power for, the most part of history, when they have used, your talking points to prevent me from getting my rights as a human being. Why should I ever respect that? Anyway, getting a little heated, but I just needed to get this off my chest. I see this so often. It just makes me so mad. But making a video about it will probably help. Will probably be a little therapeutic. But this is what contributes to a pluralistic society. I completely disagree. While I think you should be able to have your opinions, absolutely, you should be able to have your opinions even if they are bad. You should be able to have your opinions even if they are bad. But I do not have to respect them. That is a difference. You should be allowed to have your beliefs, but I do not have to respect them. I understand we are different. I respect you for being different, and I humbly request that you respect me for being different for you. Absolutely not. However, one of the hallmarks required for pluralism to function is that I don't force you to believe what I believe, and you don't force me to believe what you believe. We have a freedom of choice, and above all, I think that should be respected. Absolutely. But no one is forcing you what to believe. No one but yourself. So you're just being an asshole yourself. However, I think it is important for me to add the reason why I believe I'm not anti-gay. Jesus Christ was not known for hanging out with the people who went to church, paid their taxes, and were holy. He hung out with the prostitutes, the tax collectors, and the people that his society said were dirty. Why should I hate someone that has probably had a life made very difficult by their sexuality? For that matter, why should I hate anyone because they disagree with me? If anything, these are reasons for love. We're different, and that's awesome. So that's what I believe I should do. Love others because they are human. TLDR, I'm not anti-gay. I choose to love all people because we're people, but still disagree with homosexuality. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Well, I mean, first off, he goes to say, why should I hate someone that has probably had a life made very difficult by their sexuality? Well, first off, yeah, you shouldn't do that. And why should I hate anyone because they disagree with me? You also shouldn't do that. Well, I mean, I think in the case of the gay people, it's a little bit more acceptable because, these talking points generally, kind of, when these talking points get a bit out of hand, it could, result in them getting their rights taken away. So I think it's a little fair to be a little bit more, hostile about that. Well, not hostile. I don't think hostile is the right word, but cautious or, not exactly, all hunky-dory and accepting of that. So, but you should not hate anyone because they disagree with you. I will hate you because you disagree with me just living my life. Of something that I have no control over. Believe me, I wish I could control it. I wish I could be straight. But I can't. Because that's not how sexuality works. Like, I mean, I know for a lot of people it's also a spectrum and kind of differs. But, for me, I don't have any attraction towards women. If that's something that I could control, I would do it in a heartbeat. Because it would make my life so much easier. But I cannot do that. So asking me to respect that you think that I should just, asking me to respect your belief that I am wrong for living my life, I will never do. There are a lot of people that, obviously liked this post. So I also want to get a bit into the comments. I'm not going to read too many because they were really making me mad. So this guy said, as an atheist, I have to say thank you for writing something that just renewed my respect for Christians. If I wasn't broke right now, you'd be mega gilded. Well, I find that so interesting as an atheist because obviously I'm also an atheist. But I don't know. He's just dressing this up in nice words. He's just saying, yeah, okay, like, I'm not gonna like beat gay people up, or I'm not gonna like, you know, uh, still gonna like, he says I'm not gonna beat gay people up, or I'm not gonna like, be bad against them, like you shouldn't do to anyone. But I do still hate them for no reason. That is essentially the point he's making. So I do not understand how this would renew your respect for Christians. If anything, it's all just window dressing. I just don't understand how this is a good post at all. And then the original poster responds, "Thank you, I'm glad to hear that. I do have to say that these are just my opinions, and often the opinions of many of the Christians in my local community, but not always the opinions of Christians throughout America. I think it's very unfortunate that a religion based primarily on loving and respecting others has made itself a vehicle for hating the minorities of society." And yeah. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, this isn't too bad of a post, I suppose. Um, you know, I I do think, when your biblical text literally, calls out gay people being sinful, you kind of like cultivate that environment. I don't think how y'all can just go cover your eyes and pretend like it's not there, but it is. And that's what people are taking away from it. And of course, if you're not going to have some people who are, at least thinking somewhat rationally, like this guy, at least like on some, I still hate his guts, obviously, but I like, he seems to be thinking rationally, at least at some level. And a lot of Christians do not. They just take the word from God as gospel, and it's pretty cut and dry at that point. Like, then they'll just be like, yeah, screw gay people. Fuck those bitches. We don't want them. Like, I don't know how, like, of course you cultivate that. And then someone else says it isn't the religion that hates, it is the people that hate. And that is not true. It is both. Like, how can you ignore something that is literally written in the Bible? I just don't understand. These people are so dumb. Man, I should probably not post this, but I'm probably going to anyway because I don't care. Anyway, then this guy says, "That's what I've been trying to say on Reddit for years. You worded it so much better than I did. My poor handling of it usually gets me told I am full of hate. Do you mind I quote your comments in the future? The only difference is Jesus showed time and time again that he would challenge people that misrepresented God and what he believed. If you truly believe that God has judged homosexuality as a sin, sharing that judgment with others is no different than what Jesus had done. You are not judging others, you're sharing a judgment God has already made." I am, yeah, screw God anyway. Like, what the fuck, dude? Anyway, moving on. I don't have much to say of this. I don't think this is very interesting. Don't think this is a very interesting comment. But then this guy says, "Mr. Very Good," and here, this is a good take. It's easy to say, oh, but there are lots of different sins. But at the end of the day, viewing homosexuality as a sin means that a gay person can never have a consensual, loving relationship that is blessed by a God. By God. A heterosexual can get married and have sex in a union blessed by God, yet a gay person can't do the same just because they love someone of the same sex. This is the only good take I've seen so far. Like, this is the only good take I've seen so far. And then this guy says, "I'm confused on how this is relevant. There's a pretty clear message in the Bible that says homosexuality is a sin. Therefore, according to Christianity, God doesn't like it. You can't make God change his mind about something because that's what society thinks." Yeah, that is true. But if you do also believe that, that does make you a very bad person. So, think of that what you will. Then they all go into, I read a little bit of this ahead of time, but then they go into all these Bible verses, and I really don't care. So this guy, again, agrees with him. I don't really care. Then then uh, then this guy Fionn Love, I don't know how to pronounce it. And he says, I think this is a common belief among Christians, just not one that you hear much. As I explained to my ultra-Christian dad when he asked why I was okay with homosexuals and even voted in favor of gay marriage, anything less would be wrong. I can't say I love everyone and I hate homosexuality in the same sentence. Anything less than unconditional love for my brothers and sisters, no matter their preferences, is just plain not Christ-like. I think this guy is like okay, but I think he probably just believes the same thing as the original poster, in which case he's still like kind of awful. Um, but you know, like, I mean, at least he voted in favor of gay marriage. That's something, I guess. But I mean, still implying that gay marriage is in any way wrong or being gay is in any way wrong is just awful. So, and then we have this guy here, Gamon. It's all good to think like the original poster, but at the end of the day, she is still part of a large organization that actively promotes homophobia and in many countries allows this basic violation of civil rights to be dominated in politics. Amen. I know, pun entirely intended. Amen. And on that, he's going to respond to this, but I don't care anymore. I think we've looked at enough of this. This has got my blood pressure rising enough. I know this might seem like I don't want to engage with this any further, which is true, I don't, but it's honestly just exhausting to have to defend, your right to exist without being looked down upon all the time. So anyway, with that all said, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this rambling. If y'all want to see more of this sort of content, be sure to let me know. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in a next video when I decide to do one of these off-the-cuff things again. So I'll see you all later. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.